Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. I hope you enjoyed our last week podcast in which we had Sheikh Nasheed, and inshallah today we are back to normal. So our main guest, hidden guest, Mr. Doc. And Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
You alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, today we titled this Internalizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now,
Right.
just to make something clear,
Okay.
sometimes Sufi terminology is misunderstood by people.
Yeah.
And when you say that I've annihilated myself and Allah, it doesn't mean that you become one with Allah because we are physical and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not. Or
Okay.
when we say that we have internalized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lives in my heart, like according to the hadith, the broken heart of a Muslim is the home of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala physically has come into your heart. So just to make that clear, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not physical. When we say Qurb de Alai, it doesn't mean that we physically drawn closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
So we're not taking the literal meanings. I mean, and there's some such sentences in the Quran Sharif as well. Yeah. So if you say that the whole city came out to meet him, it doesn't mean the buildings came out to meet him.
Yeah.
We understand what it means. Or if I say to Hafiz Umair, afterwards I would like some tea, so can you put tea on the stove?
Yeah.
He's not going to spill made tea on the stove. Yeah. So let's make that clear first of all. So we're talking about internalizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many times the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to the Sahaba that shall I not tell you something which is easy to do but has the maximum benefits?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're trying to do today is, as usual, we're trying to give anecdotes. One of the simple solutions to everything. One of the simple solutions to everything. So what do I mean by everything? Everything meaning like our psyche, our thoughts, our feelings, whether they're haram or halal, our relationship with other people, our relationship with the dunya, the world, like income and finance and properties, to do with our grave and the judgment day in akhirah and the maqam in paradise. So we are talking about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, etc. So this is what we mean. This is what we mean. So now we are going to also get Adnan Saab on, who's coming through also, and soon we will have Mullah Uzair Saab to have a full-on discussion.
So over here about a mu'min, Muslim believer. Okay, I'd like to say I mentioned the Jummah today. My Jummah bayan was about ihtiram Muslim, the respect of a Muslim. Okay, so in regards to, it's linked to what you're saying, that respect, and every single person has their own respect. Even Hazrat Insan, the human, he has his own respect. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran Pak, in Surah Bani Israel, that وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam, that indeed we've given Izzah to Bani Adam. Now, that's Bani Adam, the human, okay? The Muslim, his respect is even more than that. Okay?
Right, okay.
So, like Hadith Pak says, I've got the Hadith in front of me, that he alayhi salatu
This is
wasalam-
connected to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The topic of today? Okay,
Yeah,
carry
yeah.
on.
Yep. That the topic, what you're saying, is the answer is in the Hadith right at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a test to see if you got what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Go on.
So the Zibak says that, as Abdullah bin Umar, he says that I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was doing tawaf of the Kaaba,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying, Yaqul, he alayhi salatu wasalam was saying that how beautiful are you, meaning the Kaaba,
Gee.
how beautiful are you and how beautiful is your smell. And then he says, he alayhi salatu wasalam, how great are you and how great is your hurma, your sacredness.
Yeah.
Then he said, he alayhi salatu wasalam, that I swear upon the whose hand my life is, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the respect of a mu'min is greater to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Kaaba.
Yeah.
Than you, the Kaaba. And he says, hurmatan minki malihi wa damihi, that his hurma, his respect is more, okay, than the Kaaba, his mal, his money, and his wealth. The respect of that is more greater than the Kaaba. And then the answer to your thing, that success lies in everything. How do you get that success? Here's the answer. وَأَنَّ ظُنُّ بِهِ إِلَّا خَيْرٌ. That the only thing you think about the Muslim is good. So if you can think good about your Muslim brother, okay, that's a solution for having success and easiness for everything.
Okay, so if somebody is at fault and you're thinking good about them,
it's a husn al-dhan talking about here.
okay, so if we carry on doing husn al-dhan, we get robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does that mean, thinking good? Do we always think good about the other person?
But as much as possible.
Okay,
As
so
much as
so the way
possible.
that some people...
Where he's, for example, a Muslim has personally or done something to you, okay, where your right has been attacked, okay, at that time you have to take your right. Okay. When it comes to small little things in which you are capable of doing, then you should do that.
So
for
how...
example, if he hasn't phoned you,
Okay, so let's just say somebody's taken my right away, somebody's robbed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thinking good about the other Muslim means that you don't hate the other person, but you just hate the sin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
At all levels.
Yeah.
What I'm that's like one part of it.
Yeah.
So for a guest to just come on now as well.
Yeah.
So
sorry for the delay.
That's
Just
okay.
reading our Salah finishing
Yeah,
off things.
Maghrib as well, yes, and the program beforehand. Jazakumul khair for coming, joining us. What we are talking about is the topic today is internalizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what we are saying is we always after like the single solution to everything. Yeah. So Hafiz Umair Sahab was talking about having a good opinion of others. That's a good solution as well. But we're talking like trying to get to the total solution. Like for your sake, though the viewers already heard, and a good thing to repeat, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say to the Sahaba, shall I not tell you about something which is easy to do but which has maximum benefit? Yeah. So and we're looking at the benefit for everything, afia in deen, dunya, akhirah. Yeah, in your personal life, your family, your social, your financial, your emotional, your mental, your physical, your spiritual. Yeah. So what's the solution to everything? So the suggestion which I have, it's always good. We always say you practice it before you tell other people.
Yep. So did you go to the park today as well and practice it first?
Yeah. So for the last few days, I've been trying to practice this more intensely than before. Now, what I've been practicing is what does it mean internalizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So obviously, as we said, not physically you can't do that, but spiritually, that if inside me I feel that there's only Allah, so we're not talking literal here, then nothing will affect me, and outside I will do everything ba shariat ba sunnah. Yeah, because inside of me there's only Allah. There's not grudge, like Hafiz Umair Sahab was talking about. There's not grudge against somebody, even if somebody is at fault. It doesn't affect me. Like Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how was he? Yeah. So we, as humans, we may feel sad, we may feel hurt, we may feel upset. That's just being human. But when it comes to depression, anxiety, these days we have suicide, even amongst Muslims. Yeah, though it's a much less rate than before, but still, how do we internalize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now, going back to Quranic ayahs, talks about remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all it really is. Zikrullah, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maulana Sahib, tell me, on the Day of Judgment, which is the heaviest thing on the Day of Judgment? According to there's different hadiths, different narrations. They say akhlaq. They talk about sound heart, Durood Sharif, and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, easy to do, but with maximum benefit.
I think the Nabi mentioned it there, hit the spot there. See, the Quran Pak says, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ.
Subhanallah.
On the day of judgment, your wealth, your children won't be able to support you or benefit you in any way. Illa, except for that person, man atallaha biqalbin salim, who comes to Allah with a sound, clean heart. So when we talk about internalizing Allah, it's internalizing Him in such a way that it manifests by means of cleaning your heart.
Yeah.
That's one understanding of it. Once you've achieved that, automatically everything else falls into place. But achieving that sound, clean heart is what in one understanding of scholars is the ultimate goal in life.
Yes.
To turn back to Allah, that when Malakul Maut takes your soul, it takes it through a clean, sound heart. And that's what everyone, myself, this panel, yourself, we're all struggling towards in our life.
The ultimate goal, eh?
The ultimate goal.
Well said. So,
ultimate goal. And that's internalizing Allah, if that's what you're saying. If you just focus on these words as the heading for today, internalizing Allah, it's internalize Him so that you attain a clean, sound heart.
Okay. If the heart is correct, the whole body is correct.
And one of the ways to achieve that, by what Hafiz Ubaid had already started speaking of, is having husn al-dhan.
Yeah.
Having a good opinion.
Yes.
The greatest ibadah is to think good.
Yes.
You have to have a good opinion. And you can only have a good opinion when you have a clean, sound heart.
Yes.
If the heart is not clean, it's impossible for you to have a good opinion.
Yeah.
Now, there are 5... Now, funnily enough, today I was talking about the 5 traits that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described, which are the biggest hurdle between brotherhood. This week we were discussing how when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to Medina Munawwara, the first thing he established was brotherhood.
Yeah.
Why? Because that builds trust. It builds a community. Yeah. Once that community trust is there, how do you build a community trust? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, upon the authority of Abu Hurairah, the first thing Aqali described was La tahasadu. Do not have a hasad amongst one another.
Yeah.
Envy. Because it burns away the good deeds the way fire burns away wood.
Yeah.
And the ulama, the Sufya describe that the way to get rid of hasad from your heart is that when you see a fellow Muslim with a favor of Allah, maybe a new phone, S21 Galaxy, iPhone, what's the new one?
Yeah.
Is it 12 Pro or something?
S21 Ultra.
Ultra, okay.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, he's good with that stuff. Now, let's suppose you've seen that in a fellow Muslim brother's hand, or he's taken on a new car, a house. He's had a child, a baby boy. Yeah, or let's suppose he's got a degree, he's just got a job. All of these aspects, and the ulama Sufiya describe that to get rid of hasad from your heart and jealousy from your heart is to make dua for him. When you see him with that blessing, that ni'mat of Allah, make dua for him. And then they comment that only a pure, clean heart would have the courage to make dua. And this is the way I described it this morning as well. I put myself to the test. Every one of us can put ourselves to the test. If you see a brother with a blessing and that you crave that same thing, rather than just craving it, make dua for him. If you see that you're able to make the dua, it means your heart is still clean.
What about for somebody who's hurt you and you see a blessing? Even
then you make dua that Allah gives him barakah in that blessing.
There's one more thing that you need to remember is, look, it is the human nature to attain something. If he sees something, he wants it. This is Allah that has made the insan al-damaga in that. If he sees something, I want it. The Sufiya, Ihyalu, Imam Ghazali, he puts it bang on that there's a halal way of getting it, there's a haram way of getting it. The halal way is that you go earn and you get it yourself. Or the haram way is that you take it off him.
Steal it, yeah.
Steal it. You get? So
and in this manner, the stealing could be you curse him.
Yeah.
You put an evil eye on him.
Yeah. An
evil eye, I mean, it happens, it's true. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described it. Yeah. We have been given wada'if and many ways to relieve yourself from an evil eye. Yeah. So people can cast an evil eye just by seeing a blessing in somebody's hand or something he's achieved and a social status, social honor that he's just received. So you make dua for him.
So
and that's the way you put yourself to the test, I believe.
Okay, I'm going to that test which is the most difficult for us.
Okay, go for it.
Which is again saying, if somebody has hurt you, if somebody has stole from you, if somebody has degraded you publicly. You can think of many reasons why you would want to not make dua for somebody. Yeah. So how do you have a sound heart where you are able to make dua for that kind of a person?
You actually do if you don't realize it. رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الْحِسَابُ. In every dua, you're making dua for him.
Okay.
Even the one that you don't, the one that's hurt you, that's caused you a financial or a physical loss. You put him to the law, maybe the Sharia law or the British law, the courts. You let them deal with the crime he's committed, so that he can be punished for his wrong that he has done. But like you said earlier, we hate the sin, not the sinner. At the end of the day, he was taken into shaitan. Shaitan misled him. He made him commit the sin. He was weak. Why don't you make dua for him that Allah Ta'ala gives him the strength to come out from that? If he's hurt you, he could have hurt several others. Yeah, and ultimately, if you make dua that Allah Ta'ala gives him the strength to fight shaitan, firstly, you're building ties with him, you're cleaning your heart, you're testing yourself, and you've put the legality to rest with the courts. You let them deal with that, and that's punishing him for his sin.
Okay, I'll give
but
you real life.
as a human, to human, you acknowledge that he has a weakness. Now, you're just talking about theft. It could be any sin. It could be, without mentioning any sin, it could be any sin that he's committing that you have become aware of. And now you hate him so much that you don't want to make dua for him. That isn't the attitude of or the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay, I'll give you a practical solution. Okay, that is, if you've got hasad with someone, or you've got a problem with someone, whatever the problem is, whatever the hasad is, simple solution. If you look at the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he entered Medina, okay, the first thing, what did he alayhi salatu wasalam say? The ulama of seerah, they said he alayhi salatu wasalam didn't say read namaz or give zakat. No. What did he say? Give people food and give salam. That's it. If you have hasad with someone, or you've got that problem with someone, just go do salam.
So let's look at
I've actually experienced it myself. If you have a problem with someone and he's not speaking to you, or he stays away from you, or you've got a grudge with him on your side, just go to salam to him, it goes away.
So somebody, you had a problem with somebody who upset you, or took something from you, so you went over, you said salam to him and you invited him to dinner to your house.
It just goes away. Everything goes away.
Okay.
I've experienced the same. I completely agree with Hafiz Umar Sahib there. Whenever there's been a confrontation, an issue, and you know how they say, like, everyone wants to get together, everyone wants to kind of make up, but it just takes that one person to make that effort. So like Hafiz Sahib mentioned, making dua, that's one practice in seclusion, whereas this one, it's kind of in public, it's face to face, and it's more beneficial that way. So I've experienced this as well, when I have made that effort and done salam with that person, it's as though the words of salam have acted in a way to just kind of melt that person's heart.
Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, I'll give you a scenario.
Okay, I'll add a hadith about there. He alayhi salatu wasalam said, "Qareeb baitha karo, kol baitha karo."
Sit
close to
close.
each other.
Yeah.
It builds love. It removes hatred. Give
Okay.
salam, it removes hatred.
Okay, listen to this. This is real life. There's a lady who.
These are also real life, by the way.
Yeah, of course they are. We're all live. There's a lady who we personally know as a family, and what's happened with her is she educated her children. They got degrees. They became doctors and lawyers. Yeah, and then their father had passed away, so they just had their mother. So their mother sacrificed her life, her health, in order to establish them in the dunya, and at the same time trying to give them deen, because she's very religious. Instead, what they've done is they are, let's just say, partial Muslims or part-time Muslims, and they hardly ever contact their mother. And whenever they do contact their mother, or their mother puts in an effort to contact them, all she gets is false accusations. And I dealt with this family, so false accusations, and she gets a lot of headache. So now what she's thinking is better that they don't contact me. So she goes to Umrah. Okay. She's before the Hana Kaaba Sharif. She goes to do Ziyarah the Kaaba Mubarak of Rasul Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as well. She's there as well. She said, I tried so hard to make dua for my children.
This is the mother saying this.
This is the mother saying, so hard. In fact, I know mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters. I'm just giving you one example, but I know a number of examples of people who went to Hajj and Umrah and who felt that in fact, one person made dua in front of the Hana Kaaba Sharif and took the dua back. Yeah, by mistake. He said, I didn't know I made dua for my family who hurt me, abandoned me, did so much against me, to put me down. They even tried to mentally write him off. Yeah, they did so much against him. And he automatically the dua came out. Maybe, Allahu Alam, that was a blessing from Allah, do so. Yeah, but then he took it back. Yeah, now... well, that's what I was wondering. But basically, he said, sorry, that was a mistake. Yeah, let's redo that dua again.
Cancel the transaction, yeah?
Yeah.
Cancel the payment.
Yeah, cancel the transaction.
Transaction, yeah.
All right.
Zipped. So, there are some people out there who are really hurt. If a lot of us, compared to them, have lived very peaceful lives, we've not had what they've had. But when you meet people like that, and when you see the evidence, and I'm not talking non-evidence.
And of course, you hear it firsthand from them directly.
Absolutely.
With their emotion that they can put into it.
And not just that, you have witnesses, and then you go and speak to the opposite party. And we weren't born yesterday. You can tell who is the perpetrator and who is the victim. And if this was an Islamic country with an Islamic court, they would deal with them properly. Yeah, but guess what they did instead? They went to UK laws, UK courts. They kicked them out of their own properties. Yeah, they took over their properties, and they're living. This poor lady is living in a homeless women's shelter at the moment.
For these people, these kind of people, I mentioned this hadith today in Jummah.
Okay.
This hadith from Nasheed, he says that salasatun, 3 people, لا ينظر الله عز وجل إليهم يوم القيامة.
Allah
subhanahu wa ta'ala will not even look towards them. And the first one is وَالْعَاقُ لِوَالِدَيْهِ.
Allah.
The person who gives pain to his parents.
Allah.
These are those type of people.
See, what the mother made a mistake here was, from day one, she didn't teach them the deen most probably.
No.
See? So this is where the problem falls.
Yeah.
I mentioned this many times over in Bayans as well. A wise man said that if you teach your children the deen will teach them how to live. Unfortunately, we don't do that. And neither are we interested. And we only realize once calamities fall upon us, well, after 20 years, 25 years, when it's too late, of course, now you knock on the door of the masjid and expect Imam Saab to just give one pook and everything comes.
Yeah.
They come to the masjid,
yeah. But these now they're grown up to hit back. So, but these mothers and fathers.
I think all of this is actually, it comes to haunt them. That's the best way to put it. Them neglecting the deen for so long. It actually comes to haunt them later on, regardless of whether their parents, their children, whatever the relationship may be. Because this relationship mentioned only takes it into an emotional phase. But if you come to the reality of why all of this happened, the reality is they neglected the deen for so long. It wasn't their priority. It was their second, third, fourth, fifth, not even in their priority list. And now when they actually fall on their knees, and now they're actually having to turn to Allah by force, now they realize, what should I do now?
Those are for those who fit that category.
Indeed.
I'm talking about religious people. I'm talking about the ones that from the day that their children were born, in fact, before their children were born. Yeah.
Khalid bhai, you can be religious or look religious, but still not do a certain act. You could be a 5-time namazi, right?
Yeah, we understand those people.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're mentioning religious people, so he could be a religious person, but that could be that one small department which he really lacks in, and he has for the last 40 years, and loving his parents is probably one of them.
The thing, what Khalid Bhai is trying to talk about, I'll give you an example. You know the example. Okay, he's an imam, okay, he's a Hafiz Sahib, he's a Mullah Sahib, he does everything. Now he got married to a woman in Pakistan. She came here, and she didn't like the mahal of the house. Right, he got a job down London.
Okay.
And he left the house and went down London. Now he doesn't speak to his brothers. He doesn't speak to his dad. Why? Because the dad and the brothers don't like his wife.
Right. Yeah.
That's the kind of example you're talking about.
So they were all religious.
They're all religious. The whole Quran is religious.
Yeah. What went wrong there? So.
How do you do husn Islam there then?
Okay, so now we talk about going back to this thing, internalizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So
I think, every situation is different.
Every situation
is a lot more complicated than we can describe in one little paragraph.
Yeah.
There's a lot has gone in. Many years of trouble and ups and downs have gone in for them to get to that stage.
And there's always two sides to
There's always two sides to the story. Yeah. But keeping husnul zan, that they did their level best to keep intact. They did their level best to work, to come to middle ground. But the only way forward was for them to move out, or the only way forward is for them to, let's say in this case, if you give any other scenario where they stopped making that contact, that was probably the best way. And it is also proven from the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You extend your hand of brotherhood and your compassion to a certain degree, and beyond that, when it's just abuse upon abuse, that's when you give up. Now we mentioned Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to be Rahmatul Lil Alameen, but we never mentioned when Nabi Alayhi Salatu Wassalam was abused physically. At times he did make dua of Jalal, and against those individuals that actually hurt him so much. There's an extent to everything. When you're saying continuous forgiveness, and you are questioning earlier as well, should I continue to forgive that person that's constantly robbing me? The answer is, to an extent. You take him to the courts, you hold him accountable under law. And then beyond that, you make dua that Allah Ta'ala heals him. There's nothing more you can do. But then what's also permitted for you at that point is to break ties with him, because he's a constant fitna and he's causing you trouble physically, and your internal relationship with Allah is in jeopardy because of that one individual.
Yeah, you could say that. So there are people who not just, actually not in this country, abroad, who not just rob people, but hurt people. Meaning torture people, and I mean physically. In this country happens as well, but in certain places where I met certain people who were physically tortured by their family members. Okay, I was first of all shocked that his family members, I mean, how can you have a heart with somebody who you grew up with? But the ones that hurt you the most sometimes, even if by a word, is the ones who are closest to you, the ones who you love or have a blood relationship.
We've dealt with so many cases like that.
This call of Mawla Ali Shaykh that the scar, the hit of the sword can go away.
Yeah.
But that scar, that hit from the tongue, that never goes away.
Yeah, the scars of the heart are very difficult, a lifetime. So are we saying then, let's make this clear for our viewers as well, are we saying that we are obligated to forgive and to make dua for our enemy?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, we are obligated.
Well,
so okay. So
whether you're aware of, like the first thing I mentioned earlier, in each dua you're making in each salah you're making dua for all believers. Yeah. Whether he's your enemy or whether he's your friend.
That's a general dua.
That's a general
I'm
dua.
talking specific.
But it's for everyone, isn't it?
Okay, if it's
now, all you really need to do is concentrate slightly on that aspect and realize, look, there's no way around. You can't get away with it. Ultimately, you are making dua. What's he going to do in namaz then? Is he going to stop doing that dua?
Okay, if he does a general dua or gives sadaqah generally for the entire ummah,
that includes him.
It's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who he gives sawab to, yes? Okay.
The thing is that
But when the intention is all Muslims, then that includes that enemy Muslim of his as well.
You know, I went to a Maulana Sahib once with somebody's question
All right.
because somebody said, I hate this particular brother or sister of mine, and what I'm going to do is this sadaqah is for the entire ummah except him
for
or her. Yeah.
It was
Maulana Sahib, what? But let's be, you know, are we saying that if somebody hurts somebody, that person who is hurt the person's hurt and has to be forced now to forgive the other person and make dua for them? Is that fair? Is that just? Is that what Allah saying? He knows our tender, weak hearts.
I think it will differ from what individually.
Yeah,
Each
because
person-
one person replied, who's actually a friend of ours, he replied when I was talking about this. This Babaji was asking a Mufti Sahib, and I was sitting there, and this friend of ours sitting there as well, and he said, don't give the criteria of the Prophet Prophet's character to everybody. It's too much of a burden for everybody. Don't say that, yeah, because it's too tough. It's too tough.
But that's wrong.
He's a role model, but people are at different levels.
But that challenges the Quran then. You're challenging the Quran then.
Okay.
The Quran says that he is the best role model. So if you say don't give it, that's you challenging the Quran then.
Okay, so if I say to somebody, look, you're challenging the Quran if you do not forgive that person who killed your family member, who robbed
you're
you.
not directly challenging the Quran Pak.
Yeah.
That would be wrong to say. But every aspect of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's life is inspiration, and it's a way of life for us.
The perfect role model.
The perfect
but
role
we're
model.
getting to that perfection.
We're getting to that perfection, but that doesn't stop us from giving that example.
Yeah,
Otherwise, who are those examples for then?
absolutely.
Did he make these examples just for the elite?
Yeah.
Only for the awliya Allah? No, it was for everyone.
The thing is, you know, I want to add here, this is the question, okay? At times you can forgive, but you can't forget. Okay? Now, not forgetting, is that a sin? That whenever you meet him, you don't don't get that vibe from him. You don't want to meet him.
It comes back to that point of the scars in the heart.
Do you get it? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
If I've done something to, for example, Brother Dudan, okay, he's forgiven me, but whenever we meet, we don't, okay,
You remember that,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not there. Is that a sin?
Go on, go to it.
I don't think it's a sin. Again, it comes back to what's in your heart for that person. You know when we say, I'm going to keep it to arm's length,
Yeah.
salam karni hai, dua karni hai, and that's it. But again, it all comes down to, like, what's in that person's heart. If it's to do salam and then to continue to have malice and a grudge for him in his heart, or to do salam with him as a formality, you know, we say uto to bas karke,
Yeah.
and then he does his chugli or does his ghibat behind his back, then he will be sinning, because then that's kind of deliberately.
Yeah.
But if he wants to just keep it, like, one thing we're always taught is that if you're not going to be friends, and if you're not going to hang around, and if you're not going to have that vibe that you had all those years and many months ago, do the bare minimum. Again, going back to the sound heart, is at least keep the peace. Right?
Yeah,
So
give salam,
give
etc.
salam.
Like the Habshi who killed Hazrat Amir Hamza radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Washi, yeah. So basically, what happened? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reminded of his uncle whenever he saw him. Yeah. So the thing is that I wouldn't say that it's a sin, but what I would say that it does hurt,
It does hurt, and Hafiz Sahib quickly mentioned.
and you get
that
swab for
it's-
the hurt.
See, it's in the brain, isn't it? You can't forget. It'll keep reminding you. But forgive him, and then let it be adding on from what the Nabai was mentioning. After that, at least keep it to salam dua. Like the Hazrat Washi's example. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't say, never come to my majlis ever again.
Yeah.
He said, do come, but just don't sit in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because
Yeah.
then you'll remind me of
You remind me, yeah.
what did take place. So that didn't stop him altogether from meeting the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And when meeting him, of course, salam would be exchanged. That's the bare minimum every Muslim has to do.
I really want to get to the bottom
Al-Muslimu
of
akhul Muslim.
yeah,
Yeah.
whether you have to. Okay, forgiveness we understand, but dua. Okay, if you forgive somebody, I think it's more easy to forgive somebody. I did a bit of a survey. I think it's more easy to forgive somebody than to make dua for them.
That's true. Because dua takes courage. Dua takes a clean
Yeah.
heart.
Oh, yeah. How do you get that clean heart? Because that's what Allah loves the most, yeah?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay, how do we do it?
I think with some cases,
You gotta believe.
it takes time.
Yeah.
As in, let's say an event has taken place. Let's say this account has happened just a few weeks ago. It may take you a few years,
Yeah.
and after a few years, once you've completely gone, I mean, let's say it's a divorce case.
Time heals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the divorce, straight after the divorce, emotions are so high, you're never going to forgive. You don't want to go to one of those grave as well, or all the comments you share.
Yeah.
But give it 5-6 years later. Now, when you bump into that individual, you actually have a smile on your face.
Mm.
You realize that grudge is no longer there. It was a temporary emotion. Over time, it may well even turn into dua.
Smiling again, Mark.
One
Okay,
thing that
fair.
really helps.
No,
It may actually, after time, it may actually
I
turn
know
into
what
a
you're
dua.
talking about. Yeah.
But the thing is, I've seen examples where over time it gets worse.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Who you been hanging around with? Yeah. I don't know which part of society lives in. Okay, carry on.
Okay, what do you do then?
Which society is it?
I know family issues that they've had issues for 20 years.
I know.
25
Yeah.
years,
Yes,
30
it's true.
years.
Yeah.
But
See,
over time, it's just increasing.
I think because they don't
that,
meet.
that is pure
Unique
evilness.
example
No,
of
I think that
Yeah.
it does happen. That, I mean, we're not going to disregard it. It does take place.
Yeah.
But I think that's based on pure evilness.
But because, like Hafiz Saab, they don't give Islam and they don't invite him to dinner.
The issues of the
Family,
conflict,
yeah.
conflict is just small things.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
But how do you get rid of all those things? The same that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Afshu salam wa atimu ta'am, wasilu arham, sallu bil layli wa nasu niyam, tadkhulu jannata bi salam."
Yeah, mashallah.
That's it.
Translate.
Okay, translation. Afshu salam, spread peace.
Yeah.
Salam. Now, one thing that I mentioned today as well, if let's say for a few weeks we stopped saying assalamu alaikum, yeah, I'm only proposing this, yeah, we stopped saying assalamu alaikum, and we say may peace be upon you, it'll make an entire world of a difference,
Yeah.
because we don't realize what we say and the meaning, the depth it holds,
the impact of that meaning.
the impact when we say assalamu alaikum. We just say it casually now. Pick the phone, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
Yo, assalamu alaikum.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
many ways.
so many different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just casually just taking place.
It's too formal, yeah.
It's just a greeting, like saying hello.
Yeah.
It's like assalamu
These
alaikum.
days, not assalamu alaikum.
What?
Yes, bro. But even worse than that, touch me down.
Okay,
They
so
say, touch me down.
yeah, mashallah. So, acha, so
No.
you know,
No, that's not gonna happen.
once we did
Okay.
a zikr, and we did it in English.
Zikr in English.
Zikr
Okay,
in English.
okay.
So one of the
we did that.
were you there?
Yeah.
We did it with Allah is watching me. Allah is watching me. You know, something like that. People were getting like when you hear that buzz, when you go out of the room, Allah's name is the most blessed and the most high. When you go out the room, you think usually you would be Allah, Allah, Allah. You're driving home from the zikr mafia, but here now is Allah is watching me. Allah is. It's like
look at,
here's
look
a-
at that. Look at the
English words.
English words.
Okay, we're not proposing that people leave the Arabic. We're just giving an anecdote to one of the things.
Kuba on Friday.
Yeah.
They're gonna say,
Okay.
touch me down, have a sab.
Yeah.
Peace be upon you.
And I'm going to say Allah is watching you. Achha, point being, that if you replace assalamu alaikum with may peace be upon you,
Yeah.
it makes a world of a difference. Just try it for a few weeks. And because we forget the meaning of it,
Yeah.
Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because his language is Arabic, he described it to the Arabs.
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah.
They fell to the depth of that understanding when they said assalamu alaikum. They actually meant it from their
They
hearts.
meant it.
Yes. And salam means what? Now, this family member that this grudge has been building over 20 years, most likely we'll call it a complete division, a partition in the generations.
Yeah.
And it happens. And one of the ways to heal that is afshu salam, spread salam. Meet that individual, keep giving him an opportunity to meet. One thing we do is once we have a grudge with that individual, we deprive him and of any possibility of meeting him. We don't want to associate with him. And we break ties to an extent whether it comes to Eid, whether it comes to, let's say, a birthday, a wedding, a janazah, completely deprive him. Whereas these are all those opportunities to build bridges, aren't they?
You mentioned divorce before, and I kept on thinking about that because then, you know, meeting and smiling at a ghair mahram. That's what I say, because I know so
said
many
if you bump
divorce
into-
cases.
I didn't say you go and meet, I said bump into him.
Oh, you bump? Allah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we understand what that means.
Afshu salam, wa atimu ta'am. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, send food, share food.
Share food.
Yeah, wasilul arham, and build family ties.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. Sallu bil layli wan nasu niyam. And then said, then pray salah in the nights when people are asleep.
Sleep.
Tadkhul jannata bis salam. You shall enter into paradise with peace.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
And this was the first hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he entered Medina Munawwara.
Subhanallah.
So coming back to the point that the first thing Nabi alayhi salatu wasallam established was akhuwa, unity. It was a bond, brotherhood between the Muslims. And the hukum behind that is what? Spread salams, share food and make family ties.
Okay.
And pray your prayers at nights. You'll enter paradise with salam.
Okay. How do you get to do that? In other words, how do you mold your heart, your mind in order to do that? Because like Hafiz Saab saying, I know people like who Hafiz Saab is mentioning as well. When we used to be told
you have to break the nafs.
Okay, now how do you break the nafs? Because our parents used to say to us, even if your enemy comes to your door, let him in. Even if your enemy comes to your door, if he's in need. What happens is those enemies turn into friends for life because you helped them at a time and they realize what you don't even have to say it. Yeah. So we know that side of things, but here's the part which is the most difficult. Say if you have somebody close to you, a very close long time friend, like a lifelong friend. You have a family member, whether it's your parents, your brothers and sisters, your wife, husband, children, whoever. Yeah, somebody very, very close to you. When the hurt comes from there, because these most of the cases I'm talking about now is, let's talk about the extreme cases. The other cases so easy to deal with. Yeah. So when you have hurt from that person, obviously you have thoughts about the other person, such a person's like this. Yeah. To get rid of the thoughts is easy. One of the ways that we found out to do it is to say, look, it was my kismat, it's not their fault. Hate the sin, not the sinner. That's easy. Okay. Then you come to the next stage where you think, okay, I'm not going to think bad about them. I'm going to forgive them. Yeah. And say, Ya Allah, if it pleases you and the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I forgive them. For you, I forgive them. For you, I forgive them. And you keep on saying, for you, I forgive. And then I forgive them. When it comes to physically helping them, that's still easy. Like, okay,
he needs a lift. He needs
absolutely, something similar like that. But when it comes to this part where you are making dua for their success in the deen and the dunya and in akhirah, yeah, then it becomes very difficult for people to do that. Why? Because look at the psyche. They think that they hurt me. I have not got my justice. And now I'm making dua for them to be successful and happy. How am I going to deal with that? And then I'm told, like Hafiz Saab said, that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's at this level. Yeah, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is at that level. We have to get to that level. And it's very hard for me. And it's step by step. So I'm talking about how do you go on those steps, 1 step, 2 step, more closer to the character of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the reason why we named the podcast Internalizing Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala, is because over the last few days, me and some friends of mine, we've been practicing this. Let's do this now. So for example, there's one really irritable friend we have, all right, who just wants our time all the time. Yeah, even when you say, I'm with my mum, no, come to me. Yeah, like I'm with my wife, no, come to me. Yeah, I'm at work, no, come to me. Otherwise, I'm, upset and da. So we have this person, and acha, when you go to him, you know how he's like. He's always abusing and criticizing you, and sometimes we think he may need psychiatric help, but he actually doesn't. But he just needs to get his mindset right. So you have somebody who is clingy and who's taking up your time unjustly. On the other side, you have a family member, like some of the close family members that we see. Everybody has their own psyche, their own emotions, and what you find with them. And sometimes you think they need to be in a mental asylum because they're just not talking straight. Sometimes you tell them Shariat Sunnat doesn't work. Sometimes you tell them common sense doesn't work. Yeah. And they're upsetting you and they're hurting you with what they're saying. I know some people who are stealing from their family. They're actually stealing and they're going off and buying some drugs and stuff like that. So the point is, how do those people deal with this? And so what we've been trying is this. And we're all human, and we all know about this, but we wanted to do it more intensely. Yeah, so then we can come on the podcast and we can say this. And what we, as we always do, we want to leave the viewers with something. And please, everyone, if you can send in your comments and tell us how you've done with some of the advice that we've learned ourselves and we're passing to yourselves now, which is this. What does it mean to, and we're going to again practice it right now. Yeah. What does it mean to internalize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So you don't think, you don't feel, you just know that inside of you, you can say belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but don't even say it. Just, obviously we're not talking the literal physical sense. Just say, Allah is in me.
Allah is in me, yeah?
Yeah. So I'm not even saying it with my tongue. In other words, I know Allah is in me. Yeah. Now, nobody can affect me. Now when I make dua, I can make it for the worst shaitan that I know. That's the steps. Those are the steps. So what we did, like for example, one brother, there was another brother who has been torturing him on different fronts, even legal fronts in this country, trying to defame him and we thought this is a good example, defame him, rob his business, all sorts of stuff.
So he's tried his best, yeah?
He's tried his best. So we said to this brother, try this, internalize Allah and go to him. He came back, he said it was so easy. He said,
so he goes in saying, believing
that Allah is inside of me. So now that person can't hurt his thoughts, can't hurt his feelings, because his hurt isn't going to get inside because Allah's there. Everything else is outside. So there you go. Now we want the viewers and ourselves as well here, first and foremost, practice this for about a week, and we want people to send in their comments. Give us some positive criticism. You know what?
Whether it worked or not.
You're talking some other celestial level. Yeah, you're not being too real. You haven't got your feet on the ground. Yeah, but I'm telling you, in the last 3 days, me and a number of my friends have been trying this, and so far it's worked brilliant. Even when, and here was like what I did personally.
That's one of the solutions from today, then.
One of the thing that I did was, there was somebody who was being sort of blind or red in the face or whatever you want to call it, and I was trying to tell them something which was really simple, and I couldn't understand why this person didn't get it. It was a 3-person thing that happened. So I was trying to tell this person, it's not like this, it's like this, it's like very simple, why aren't you getting it? And they were bringing in arguments as if for the sake of arguments. I was scratching my head thinking, and then spent like half an hour with them, like proper, as if we were arguing. And me, what I was doing, I was thinking, no, I got to practice this now in the middle of the argument. It's very difficult in the middle of a such hot argument. And I was thinking, Allah is inside.
But so somebody needs that level of tarbiyah like you.
No, that's not far. But I can tell you, no, you have to get in the experience. You can't, the viewers and ourselves, we can't just pretend. It has to be a real life problem, and then you have to do it.
He's been doing all these different tests.
Oh, no. In fact, I tell you what we did. We actually did go to the park.
Sure.
Yeah. And we thought, we're not going to look at haram. Yeah. We did go to Market Street in town, and we said we're not going to look at haram. Yeah, we did have an argument, some of us, tiffs with our either wives or some family member. Everybody has here and there. We said we're not going to let anything else come in except Allah. Yeah, and I'm telling you, we're not saying 100%, but definitely the pass mark, 70%, it worked. So therefore, we're suggesting this to everyone.
To put it would be, in that scenario,
remembering Allah. That's all we're saying.
Remembering Allah.
That's all we're saying. According to the Quranic ayah.
One message for Nazreen as well: don't just try, because this always happens when you try something new. The way you've advertised it and the way you've sold it today, mashallah, is very well. So that excitement is so big. They try it once and they're like, do you know what? That didn't work.
Yeah.
So one
it's
message
practice.
For Nazreen is, if it's not worked the first time, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Do it as many times till you, inshallah, and we pray that we all get this.
Yeah, we forget. In fact, me in the last 3 days, myself, a number of times I forgot. because I'm human, I forgot. Like I was doing my work, and like I was trying to explain somebody to something to some insulation company on the phone, and they weren't getting it. Yeah, and I was thinking, wait a minute, what are you talking about? It's logged on your computer. Can you ever? Finally, he found it on his computer after half an hour of, and I was thinking, control yourself, stay calm, stay calm. It's only Islam. So, yeah, but yeah, sometimes you forget. Because we're human. But Adnan Bhai said 100%. We kept on doing it and doing. And then me and my friends who did it for 3 days, we thought, are we better at it now? Subhanallah. Allah's wisdom is amazing. You can, what's the Quranic ayah where never feel safe from the devising of Allah? Is a Quranic ayah or hadith? Never feel safe from the devising of Allah. Soon as we thought we got it, so we kept in contact with one another, something bigger happened. So as soon as we thought, we got 70%, something bigger happened to knock it below 70%. Then we had to fight back to get there, remember, and do it back. So, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of my friends said that without fail, every Jummah Mubarak, remember Allah, zikrullah. But then, what does that mean? I know so many people, we go to zikr mehfil, Allahu and la ilaha illallah, and Drushi for everything, and as soon as the mehfil finishes, they're arguing over the food. Yeah, I mean, what happened? We just finished the mehfil. No effect. So why? Because it didn't internalize. And one of the things in the zikr mehfil, when you're saying like Allahu or Allah, and that zarb on the heart, what happens is you're saying everything goes out, like in la ilaha illallah, everything goes out, la ilaha, everything goes out, illallah, except Allah. So that's what you're trying to do, internalizing Allah. So we don't want any fatwas, internalizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We put that title on purpose just to like, what are they talking about? Yeah. So, and we're not talking in the literal sense either. They're making that clear. Yeah. So we're, inshallah, if everybody tries this, comes back, maybe we'll get a better solution helping each other out.
Yeah, inshallah. Thank you, inshallah. See you next week.
Inshallah.
You just need to internalize it till next week. Taking it in,
yeah, and ask each other as well. Yeah, and every viewers who are listening together as well, to have a partner, companion. The best companion is the one who can remind his other companion, have you done it?
Okay.
You've mentioned the greatest thing is Allah's remembrance.
Bishop.
And great things don't come easy. We know that khair. So keep trying, and inshallah we'll get there.
Inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.